Did you know that cells, the things that are in your body that make up all the basic things of life, they can be manufactured? I know it sounds pretty crazy, right? Because it can be manufactured like anything, like your phone or even this camera that I'm using to record. But not really. It's sort of a different way of how they're manufactured and how they're given to patients. Well, how does that all work and what exactly is cell manufacturing? Well, in this episode, I want to be talking to Mr. Keshav Shah. He is a PhD student at Georgia Tech and Emory University. He researches cell therapy and cell manufacturing and knows a lot about this. That's why I'm going to talk to him on this episode. Let's get on with this interview. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing great.
Great. So, can you please introduce yourself to the listeners?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Keshav Shah. I'm currently a PhD student in biomedical engineering at Georgia Tech and Emory University, and I'm in my fourth year of graduate school. Before starting my PhD, I got my undergrad degree in chemical engineering from Virginia Tech. And so currently my research focuses on developing stem cell-based therapies for treating muscle damage, specifically in the context of rotator cuff muscle injury. So I'm developing materials that can help prime stem cells towards a more therapeutically beneficial phenotype and hopefully then help use those to heal damaged muscle.
Wow, and we'll get more into that in some of the upcoming questions I'm going to ask you later in the episode. But first, how did you get interested in science?
Yeah, so I got interested in science for a couple big reasons. So both my parents are surgeons and they exposed me to the medical field ever since I was really little. I was always really fascinated by the human body, and I would read a lot about different diseases and read a lot about human anatomy as well. So I was always really interested in the human body and medical challenges. Additionally, my two uncles are both engineers. One studied computer science, and the other studied materials engineering. So I also was really into engineering as well from a young age, and I excelled in math in school. Um, and then later on, in elementary school, attended a couple of different science summer camp, took a lot of different advanced math and science courses in high school. So that kind of helped me further develop my passion for science and engineering. And that really ultimately led me to as well.
Wow, that's amazing. So, what are the manufactured or artificial cells your team is working on, and what are they made of?
Yeah, so we don't in our lab, we don't use any sort of artificial cell. So we're manufacturing cells known as mesenchymal stromal cells or MSCs. And so MSCs can be found in many different tissues in the body, but specifically in our case, we focus on those that are derived from bone marrow. Um, so like I mentioned, these cells are derived from human patients. And what's really interesting about them is that they're is known as multipotent, which means they can differentiate into different cell types found in the body. So specifically, MSCs have been shown to differentiate into either cartilage, bone, or fat cells. And so this might help MSCs to act in a healing fashion, but really research has found to believe that MSCs actually act to promote tissue regeneration, primarily because they actually secrete a lot of different proteins that help them to signal to other cell types in the body that could be involved in things like inflammation or tissue repair. So really, MSCs act in a lot of ways to alter the body's inflammatory response. And really in our lab, we're trying to better understand these different factors that MSCs secrete into their environment, and then really developing ways to culture these cells that can help them to exert their therapeutic function.
So, you're basically taking these cells, and these cells will release different substances that will help heal the area around them. That is really, really cool.
Yeah, exactly.
And what you're focused on is trying to eventually manufacture these cells or cultivate these cells in order to distribute it to people who need help with healing their muscle tissue or basically anything in your body, because as you said, they can kind of turn into or like help cultivate any type of cell in the body. That is really, really cool.
Yeah, exactly. So like you mentioned, MSCs, they've really been studied for a lot of different injury conditions. So like I mentioned, I work on muscle, but they're currently undergoing investigation, a lot of different clinical trials for a lot of inflammatory diseases. So things like arthritis is a big one that's studied because it's such an inflammatory condition. But really, this could be applied to a broad range of different disorders. And like you mentioned, we're really trying to help improve the manufacture of MSCs is one of the main focuses of our lab. One of the big challenges with any cell therapy is just inconsistency in kind of batch to batch variability or experiment to experiment conditions. How can we better reproduce some of the results that we're finding in the lab? And ultimately, if we want to eventually get an FDA approved MSC product, that's going to be key is just having this consistency at really every stage of the process in cell manufacturing because it's so complicated and there's so many variables that affect what's going on.
Well, that's really cool. So, why do we need to manufacture these cells? Why do you need to study all this in order to manufacture them?
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of touched on that in my previous answer, but I'll say it again. Cell products are really finicky. Biological systems, there's always this inherent variability, which is definitely an advantage in certain aspects of trying to tune how what cells are doing in a therapeutic application. But like I mentioned, manufacturing them can be really complex and time consuming. Every step of the life cycle from, upstream of the actual cell culture to the culture itself, processing the cell product, transporting it to patients, expanding cells just to get really large numbers is probably one of the biggest challenges because the materials that are typically used for this culture can actually be detrimental to the cell's therapeutic function. So that's a really big challenge as well. Developing the process, and then you talk about all the machinery, the testing, the manufacturing. Every step of this needs to be very tightly controlled in order to get a reliable and reproducible cell product. So that's really the advantage of this whole umbrella of cell manufacturing is being able to take really expertise in a lot of different areas to improve these specific key areas that I just talked about to get a really high quality cell product. And that's really the focus.
So you need to get that good quality in order for it to work inside of another human's body, because without that, it wouldn't help heal all the stem cells around them, because it wouldn't fit in with the body. There's some times where it won't take it in, right? Sometimes the body might reject those cells.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not as much of a concern with MSCs, but certainly for other cell types, particularly when we talk about what's called an allogeneic cell therapy, where you're actually taking cells from a different patient's body, likely expanding those in culture, transporting them, and then injecting them into a different patient's body. Like you said, that's a really key challenge because, there might be a chance that the patient rejects the donor cells. And so, like you mentioned, that's one reason why we really need to be careful with before we even, work on the culture, can we actually maybe find ways to predict whether these cells will be rejected? How high quality can they really be for a therapy in a clinical setting? That's absolutely crucial that we get that right at every step of the way.
Yep, and I know you touched on this a little bit before, but could you go more into detail about these these artificial, not artificial, sorry, manufactured cells are helpful for the people that will be receiving them?
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's really important, and I'll touch on this again. The goal of any sort of cell therapy is to try to repair damaged cells and or at one step above is repairing different tissues in the body. So um, for instance, in the case of cancer cells where they're malignant, they're rapidly dividing, and you have these large tumors, like could you think about maybe developing a cell that can actually target those cancer cells and kill them directly? With MSCs, it's a bit different because they're not cytotoxic, they're not directly killing cells, but some of the products that they secrete into the environment might be helping them communicate with different cells. So cells are really complex, and what we're really trying to do is to better target certain areas of the body that you might have this damage. And so it's a lot different than something like a drug where, there's a very specific amount of a molecule that might be delivering. It's static. That's not going to change. It's only going to degrade over time, right?
Hmm.
But with cells, I mean, they're living beings, and so they can really respond to very specific inputs in a controlled way and try to regulate like that homeostasis or the balance in the body. So this idea of getting feedback, like cells can receive feedback from their environment and respond in a certain way. I think that's really a key aspect of why cell manufacturing in particular can be really helpful for people curing different conditions in a variety of areas. So that's I think one of the key aspects of cell manufacturing is this idea of the cell as a living thing that you're actually controlling. And obviously that's really challenging compared to something like a drug. It's challenging manufacturing, getting this approved in a regulatory way, but that's really, I think it's an exciting area to work in for sure.
But when you get all of this approved and you can start manufacturing these into a large scale, and maybe one day they could replace these medicines and drugs that we have, and they could just put cells inside your body that are, again, part of your body itself and that aren't made of artificial things, and they can help heal anything in your body.
Yep, that's exactly right. So I think it's a really exciting, I think the future of cell manufacturing, like we'll talk about in a bit, that's going to be, it's a really exciting field because it brings together a lot of different areas, not all about the biology. There's, for me as an engineer, thinking about all the different engineering applications that we can work on with this is really exciting. And I think that's part of why, to all the young viewers out there, like, I think it's really great to have a diverse background when you go into really anything, but especially in cell manufacturing. Like, it's awesome to be in a field where you have people from a wide area of disciplines, of backgrounds working together to solve something that I think could really help human patients and better people's lives. So I think it's a really cool field to be in.
Yep, definitely. And as you said, we got to talk about the future now. So, what do you see
Exactly.
in the future of cell manufacturing?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Like I touched on, there's so many different avenues that we can go into with film manufacturing. I think one of the big emerging trends in the field is computational tools. So, and this really, these can be used at any stage of the film manufacturing process. I think one that really comes to mind for me is, when we're monitoring cell processes, so you're growing cells at large scale, rather than having, actual human beings monitor these cells at every stage, and could we develop robots and use data analytics to actually monitor these processes in real time, control the quality of our cells, and ultimately help to kind of standardize this field and get really reproducible results. So I think automation is key, and that's really being developed in a wide variety of areas. And at Georgia Tech, we have a lot of researchers that are currently looking at, automation of cell manufacturing. So that's a big one in the manufacturing side. Also, so that's kind of I touched on some of the monitoring and process control, but also, we need to think about what are we starting with these cell therapies? How can we maybe use artificial intelligence, so using AI to help kind of make a lot of decisions, but even at the start of our cell culture, like how can we, if we're taking cells from a different donor, how can we screen those and help to figure out what is the optimum starting material for a cell culture? What kind of media and reagents do we need for that? That's key. And I think automation can play a big role there. And then also talking about when we actually grow the cells, I mean, can we develop tools that actually help to assess the quality of the cells that we're going to hopefully manufacture. So I think, I talked about manufacturing. There's a lot of advantages there. But I think there's also a big advantage in terms of, we talk about manufacturing. What about, excuse me, the actual therapeutics? And I talked about this a bit, but I think, particularly for an example, talking about cancer therapies and this emergence of actually engineering cells that can target bind to cancer cells and actually kill them, that's a huge example of how we can actually rewire cells in terms of their behavior at a very basic level. Can we actually rework cells to get them to do different things? I think that's super cool, and it can really help us broaden the scope of the different diseases that we treat. So there's a lot of cool work in the future of cell manufacturing and in cell therapies that I think is only going to get better over time.
Yep, and that's all gonna go passed down to the next generation of young
Yes.
scientists. All your work that you're doing is gonna go to the next generation. And speaking of the next generation, what advice do you have for kids who are interested in science?
Yeah, I think I have a couple big pieces of advice. So more generally, I think it's really key to just always ask questions and demonstrate a sense of curiosity for the world around you. I think it's really easy. It's easy for me in school sometimes to kind of get stuck in memorizing exactly what textbooks would tell you and not really think much about it. But I think it's really key to always ask yourself and kind of question the world around you. And so I think what really helped me is to not just obviously you want to pay attention to school, but get out in nature, go visit science museums, shadow professionals, go to hospitals and shadow doctors if you're able to, and really see what they do on a day-to-day basis, and really will help you kind of fuel your curiosity for the world around you. So I think that's a big one. I think it's great. I think participating in science camps and workshops obviously is very helpful. But I think another key point, and this is really kind of goes to the philosophy of science, I think, is to really understand that, failure is a key part of the scientific method, but it's not what defines us. I think it's all about analyzing what goes right and wrong, and then learning how to move forward is really key. So it's easy sometimes to get discouraged. I know sometimes I get discouraged in my own research, but I think it's key to just always keep going. I think that's really what drives science forward, and it's going to drive the future of really any scientific field forward, but also cell manufacturing, like we were talking about. So that would be my two big points of advice for any kid who's interested in science.
Yep, that's some great advice. Thank you so much for joining me today, Mr. Shah. I really enjoyed it, and I learned so much about cell manufacturing, and I bet a lot of our viewers have learned a lot about this field, and hopefully they might even be interested in trying out cell manufacturing when they are in college and when they want to do this. So thank you so much again.
Yeah, no problem, Akshay. Thanks so much for having me on. I think always great to just pass on information to the next generation. So I'm glad to be able to help out and support your podcast.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Spectacular Science. Spectacular Science is produced and hosted by me, Akshay Raman. Our theme song, additional music are by Charan Ramachandran. Special thanks to Mr. Keshav Shah for accepting this interview invite. Mr. Shah, I learned so much in this episode, and thank you so much for joining me today. Please visit my podcast website, spectacularsci.com, to find interactive activities, articles, and blog posts. That's spectacularsci.com. Do you have a science question you want answered on a Spectacular Science episode and get a special shout out? Well, grab a parent and head over to spectacularsci.com/contact and send me a message with your science question. I'm looking forward to answering your questions on upcoming episodes. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening right now. It really encourages me, and you'll be up to date on all the new episodes. So subscribe and share this podcast with your friends and family. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode of Spectacular Science next week. Keep thinking about science.